Veterans, Boy Scouts, right hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Front. And can I, before you sit down, I would like you to notice a small table. As you entered, you saw the small table. It's a place of honor. It's set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members are professional of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly known as POW and MIA. We call them brothers. We are unable to be with us tonight, this evening, so we remember them. More than 78,000 Americans are still accounted for from World War II. 8,100 from Korea, 120 from the Cold War, 1,810 from the Vietnam War, and 3 from the Gulf War. They're courageous Americans who dedicated their lives to crusade. Our protection, our freedom will never be forgotten. You may be seated. As you see the table is set for one. It is small. It symbolizes the frailty of one prisoner alone amongst his oppressor. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to the country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in the vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who kept the faith, awaiting the return. Remember. The red ribbon that tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn among the lapels and breasts of thousands who have bear witness to the unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle symbolizes the outward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. The slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this night. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. All of you have served with them and called them comrades who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, for those surely will never be forsaken. Remember. Until the day they come home. Remember. For your own information, more than 78,000 Americans are unaccountable from World War II. 8,100 from Korea, 120 from the Cold War, 1,810 from Vietnam, and 3 from the Persian Gulf. These courageous Americans who dedicated their lives to preserve and protect our freedom will never be forgotten. Here comes the Gettysburg Address. Lincoln was great because he only did it for 2.5 hours. No, a lot shorter. Carl Johnson, Life Matters. He is a 90-year-old veteran in Virginia. Carl was the last Tuskegee Airman to graduate from the Frame School that produced so many historic African-American aviators. The U.S. Army issued Carl a train ticket for the Pullman sleeping car so he can get from Texas to Alabama for his military training in 1946. Carl recalled being told by the station manager that he and his fellow black soldiers were not allowed to use the Pullman. You have to go to coach. The soldiers rode for 24 hours but denied the use of the train's dining car as well. Sorry about that. Carl would continue to treat his country better than many of the fellow citizens that treated him. Carl would extend his military service for another 3 decades, serving in the Korean and the Vietnam War. He would serve and earn a Distinguished Flying Cross and 10 Air Medals, and retire as a colonel. Air Force Staff Sergeant Brian McElroy and Tech Sergeant Jason L. Norton were military police officers. Unfortunately, they were unable to extend their military service. Their lives were tragically taken. Assigned to 3rd Security Force Squadron, Elmendorf Air Force Base, Alaska, Sergeant McElroy and Norton made the supreme sacrifice when their vehicle struck an IED while on patrol near Taiji, Iraq, in January 22nd, 2006. He was a family man and really enjoyed talking to his wife and his kids. His mother gave him a gold cross that he always wore around his neck to remind him to never lose his faith. These two fallen warriors share the same coffin and headstone because their remains were intermingled from the past and unidentifiable. They are living together, dead in a cemetery. But their character is easy to identify. Just look at the word hero. When then-Governor Ronald Reagan introduced returning POW John McCain at a speaking engagement in 1974, the future president asked, "Where do we find such men?" He was speaking of many veterans when he answered, "We find them in our streets, in our offices, in our shops, and the working places of our country, and by the farms." President Reagan also referred to ordinary people accomplishing these extraordinary things. They are not just men. Grace Murray of New York was a very curious child. At the age of 7, she dismantled an alarm clock just to see how it worked. Later, she became one of the first programmers on a Harvard Mark I computer that invented the computer language known as COBOL. The world was fortunate to benefit from this brilliant mind of the woman known by friends and admirers as Amazing Grace, and by the U.S. Navy as Rear Admiral Grace Hopper. Veterans come in all sizes and shapes, young and old, rich and poor, black and white. They nearly every category in between. They are men and women who serve or still serve in our armed forces. We need to remember also the wives who briefly see but actually dreaded every doorbell ring as her husbands witnessed unspeakable horrors while fighting in hard to pronounce a village that most Americans could never see on a map. We need to remember the modern military families who deal with frequent address changes, interrupt employments by spouses, and disappointment shared by parental responsibility. For what they do for us, military families also should be honored on Veterans Day. As recently as 2014, an estimated 50,000 homeless veterans were identified in communities around this world and nation. This is roughly the population of Galveston, Texas. But let us remember that estimated 20 veterans a day commit suicide. That is approximately 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who experience post-traumatic stress syndrome. Veterans still face long time to use many VA facilities and their care. Hiring veterans is not just a way to show gratitude, it is simply smart business. Veterans Day is an important but symbolic way of saying thanks. But we should insist that our elected officials produce meaningful laws and public policies that will enhance the quality of life for veterans and their families. The American Legion is dedicated to remember the legacy of all veterans, because what these men and women have done for us matters to America. It matters to the people overseas who were liberated from tyranny due to the sacrifice of our military members. From defeating communism, fascism, and imperialism, to liberating slaves, keeping the peace during the Cold War, and battling terrorism today, veterans have accomplished remarkable things throughout our nation history. Ladies and gentlemen, veterans have preserved the country we all love so much. I get a little teary-eyed, but thank you again for allowing me to speak on behalf of our nation's veterans. God bless you. God bless our nation's veterans. Thank you. I got one more thing I must do. Certain people have never been honored in the right way. With me tonight, I have a Navy yeoman. I would like him to come forward. Skip. Eric, kommen Sie hier bitte.
Yes, sir.
This proud gentleman received the third highest honor that the American government could give. He received a Bronze Star, and unfortunately, it was never given to him, okay, because of stupidity. I'm asking my adjutant, Arthur Donahue, to present the Bronze Star, third highest. We got the Bronze Star, the Silver Star, okay, and the Medal of Honor. This is the Bronze Star winner. No, recipient, I'm sorry. I should never say that. Bronze Star, read it.
Okay, if I get your name wrong, Eric, just correct me here. Eric Freelanders, Friedewald, while serving aboard the USS Karen DD 970 in November of 1991, while transiting the Persian Gulf through a minefield, the ship lost electrical power. Operations Specialist Seaman First Class Eric and his First Class Lead Petty Officer were instrumental in getting information to a Marine squadron, the coordinates they needed to complete their mission. For this, he was awarded the Bronze Star.
Bronze Star. And on your uniform, his mom and dad are here. And what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to step out behind. Eric? Congratulations. I've known this kid since high school. He used to hang around my house. A lot of times I threw him out. But Eric, God bless you, my son. Bronze Star, pal. Eric! Hey, Mom and Dad, stand up, come to the front, please. It's an honor to know you and him. I know you did.
Just one last note before I turn this back to Commander Bender. With us tonight, we have a special guest. We have a recent combat veteran, Specialist Richard J. Dansky with us in uniform. Richard?
Where's he at? Always welcome aboard. We love our veterans, you know that. All right? Even though he's got a Polish last name, I'm German-Polish. Don't hold that against me. All right. Thank you, sir.
Nancy Seligson is the town supervisor, so Nancy, on behalf of all of us.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your service, number one, to all the veterans. And thank you for being such an important part of our community. I'm so proud and honored to be part of that community with you, and I want to thank you for your friendship and for your contributions to our community. We really appreciate it. And happy Veterans Day to everyone.